Dear students, welcome to another lecture of pharmacology. Our today's topic is anti-adrenergic drugs. As you know that the adrenergic system has two types of receptors. One is the alpha receptor and another is the beta receptor. So anti-adrenergic drugs will be alpha antagonists and beta antagonists. In today's lecture, we are going to talk about alpha antagonists, or in short, we call them alpha blockers. Okay, so let's look at the classification of alpha blockers. The alpha blockers can be of two types. One is the non-selective, and another is the selective. So the non-selective type has two types. One is non-competitive, another is the competitive. The non-competitive is phenoxybenjamin, and the competitive type, there are phentolamine, ergot alkaloids like ergotamine, ergotoxin, etc. But if you don't want to remember all these things, just remember these two things: non-selective and selective. Okay, so non-selective are the drugs, or are the alpha blockers, which block alpha 1 as well as they block alpha 2. So these are non-selective. And the selective alpha blockers, they either block alpha 1 or they block alpha 2. They do not block both these drugs simultaneously. Okay, so the non-selective drugs, you can say phenoxybenjamin, phentolamine, and in the selective portion, either they may be selective alpha 1 blocker or maybe selective alpha 2 blocker. So selective alpha 1 blockers are prazosin, terazosin, doxazosine, tamsulosin, etc. And selective alpha 2 blockers like yohimbine. Okay, now come to the general effects of alpha blockers. What are the general actions or general effects of the alpha blockers? Number 1, blockage of vasoconstrictor alpha 1 receptors. Okay. You know that the alpha 1 receptors are present on certain types of blood vessels, and their function is vasoconstriction. Okay, so if you block these alpha 1 receptors on the blood vessels, they will reduce the peripheral resistance and venous return, ultimately cardiac output, and there will be decreased blood pressure. Okay, so you are blocking the vasoconstrictor alpha 1 receptors, so there will be ultimately vasodilation. Vasodilation will lead to decreased peripheral resistance and venous return, and that will lead to fall in blood pressure. Okay, and that may cause reflex tachycardia. Okay, as you know, when there is a fall in blood pressure, there tends to be reflex tachycardia. So that occurs. Why? Because fall in mean arterial pressure and increased release of noradrenaline or norepinephrine due to blockage of presynaptic alpha 2 receptors. Okay, so when there is blockage of presynaptic alpha 2 receptors, then there will be an increased norepinephrine level, right? And this norepinephrine will act on the heart, and that will increase the heart rate. Okay, so there is a reflex tachycardia. There will be nasal stuffiness and meiosis. Why is that? As you know that the alpha agonist drugs that produce nasal decongestion, and of course if you block the alpha receptors, that will produce nasal congestion, that means nasal stuffiness, and meiosis will produce, because the alpha agonists, they produce mydriasis, so alpha blockers will produce meiosis. Then you can see that intestinal motility, it is increased due to partial inhibition of relaxant sympathetic influences, so loose motion may occur. Then you can see that tone of smooth muscle in bladder trigone sphincter and prostate is reduced by blockage of alpha 1 receptors. When there is increased bladder uh, tone, okay, trigone, sphincter and prostate, there is increased smooth muscle tone. That is a function of alpha 1 receptor. So if you block the alpha 1 receptor, the tone will decrease, okay, and that will produce increased urine flow, okay. The patients who have benign prostatic hyperplasia, and that will be improved. And alpha blockers can inhibit ejaculation. That may lead to impotence. Why is that? Because you know that one of the functions of the sympathetic system is to produce ejaculation, okay. So if you block the alpha receptors, that will lead to inhibition of ejaculation, and ultimately that may lead to impotence. Okay. Now let's talk about a few. Number one is phenoxybenzaimine. This is a non-selective alpha blocker, and let's look at its therapeutic uses. Where should we use this drug? This drug is used in a special condition called pheochromocytoma. As you know that pheochromocytoma is a cause of increased blood pressure. Okay, so here we can use this drug, this phenoxybenzaimine. And why should we use this drug, not other drugs? There is a special reason for that. Pheochromocytoma is a tumor of the adrenal glands, okay, and this tumor produces excessive catecholamines. Okay, this produces excessive catecholamines. That means epinephrine, norepinephrine, etc. So there is production of. What phenoxybenzaimine does in case of pheochromocytoma? So this pheochromocytoma is releasing excessive amount of epinephrine, norepinephrine, which leads to highly increased blood pressure. Now if you give phenoxybenzaimine is a non-selective alpha blocker. That means it will block both alpha 1 and alpha 2. So alpha 1 receptors are present in certain blood vessels, and the function of alpha 1 receptor is vasoconstriction. When you are giving alpha 1 blocker, okay, that will not cause any further vasoconstriction, so there will be vasodilation. And the function of alpha 2 receptor is to inhibit norepinephrine release. But when you are blocking alpha 2 receptors, it cannot block the norepinephrine release. Okay, so the norepinephrine release will be normal or even high. Now what does phenoxybenzaimine do in case of pheochromocytoma? So it will block the alpha 1 mediated vasoconstriction, so there will be vasodilation, but it cannot block the beta 2 mediated vasodilation. So epinephrine, what does it cause? It acts on both alpha 1 receptor and on beta 2 receptor on the blood vessels. So when epinephrine is acting on the alpha 1 receptor, it produces vasoconstriction, and when it acts on the beta 2 receptor, it produces vasodilation. So vasoconstriction is causing increase in blood pressure, and vasodilation is causing decrease in blood pressure, and these two are actually opposing each other. Okay, so when you are blocking alpha 1 receptor, you are blocking alpha 1 mediated vasoconstriction, so there is vasodilation. Okay, so there is decrease in blood pressure, but the epinephrine which is present is still acting on the beta 2 receptors on the blood vessels, and beta 2 is causing vasodilation. So more epinephrine is acting on beta 2 receptors and decreasing the blood pressure. So there is in both these, by both this mechanism, there is decreased blood pressure. For that reason, phenoxybenjamin is used in the treatment of pheochromocytoma, because there is excessive epinephrine produced. So epinephrine will not act on the alpha 1 receptors. Okay, it will not act on the alpha 1 receptors, but it will act on the beta 2 receptors very highly and very aggressively, so that will reduce blood pressure a lot. So phenoxybenjamin is very much a preferred drug in the treatment of pheochromocytoma, and it has some other indications as well, like Raynaud's disease, frostbite, etc. Now, what are the adverse effects? One of the major adverse effects is postural hypotension and reflex tachycardia. Okay, so it may cause postural hypotension and reflex tachycardia because it is blocking the alpha 2 receptor as well. So there will be increased norepinephrine, very much increased norepinephrine, that will act on the beta 1 receptors of heart, and that will produce increased heart rate. Okay, so there will be reflex tachycardia, and that there can be nasal stuffiness, nausea, vomiting, and it can inhibit ejaculation as well. Okay, now come to another drug, which is prazosin. This is another important drug in this list. So this is a highly selective alpha 1 blocker. Phenoxybenjamin was a non-selective alpha blocker, but prazosin is a highly selective alpha 1 blocker. And how this drug act, the mechanism of action of prazosin. So very easy, it blocks the alpha mediated vasoconstriction, and that leads to fall in blood pressure. And it has less affinity for alpha 2 receptors, or almost no affinity for alpha 2 receptors, so norepinephrine mediated tachycardia is less. So for that reason, prazosin does not produce, or produce very less, reflex tachycardia. So reflex tachycardia is very, very less with prazosin. Okay, where can we use these drugs? In case of hypertension, in moderately, this is a moderately potent antihypertensive, and it is not used as a first line drug because of fluid retention, okay, and tolerance, which develops with monotherapy. If you use this drug, if you block only the alpha receptor, alpha 1 receptor mediated vasoconstriction, the body will increase the blood pressure by other mechanisms like renin-angiotensin aldosterone mechanism that will be overactive. Okay, so there will be a fluid retention, and tolerance may develop, because the blood pressure, the decrease in blood pressure will be opposed by the highly active renin-angiotensin aldosterone system activation. So this drug is can be added to a diuretic or a beta blockers in those not achieving target blood pressure. Okay, so this can be added in with some other antihypertensive drugs. Now it can be used in another condition which is called benign hypertrophy of prostate, or BHP or BPH, whatever you call it. So prazosin blocks the alpha 1 receptors in bladder trigone and prostatic smooth muscle, thereby improving urine flow, reducing residual urine in bladder. And it can also be used in Raynaud's disease. What are the adverse effects? Of course, this has a first dose effect. If you give this drug first time, that can lead to postural hypotension. Okay, but it usually occurs with the initial few doses. So that is called the first dose effect, okay, and that may lead to dizziness and fainting. But this can be minimized by starting with a low dose. You start this drug with a low dose and taking it at bedtime, okay, and you tell the patient to uh, rise from the bed slowly, okay, from lying position to sitting position he will get very slowly. Thereby they will be able to avoid this first dose effect. And the good news is that tolerance develops to this side effect, okay. So with the initial few doses the patient may feel dizzy, there may be fainting, but after few days that uh, first dose effect will disappear. And there are some other adverse effects like meiosis, nasal stuffiness, inhibition of ejaculation, etc. Now let's come to another important drug which is very important. It is used very commonly, that is tamsulosin. So tamsulosin is a very selective alpha blocker because it does not block all the alpha 1 blockers, it blocks only alpha 1A blockers. So alpha 1A receptors are mainly present on the trigone of urinary bladder, okay, and some prostatic tissues, etc. But alpha 1A is not present on the blood vessels. On the blood vessels there is mainly alpha 1B type of receptors, okay. So tamsulosin acts on the urinary bladder prostate, but it does not act on the blood vessels and does not cause reduction of blood pressure, okay. So this is a better tolerated and preferred alpha 1 blocker for BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia, because it causes less postural hypotension and it causes less reflex tachycardia. And it is not used as an antihypertensive because it does not block the alpha 1B receptors which are present on the blood vessels. So it can have some adverse effects like dizziness and retrograde ejaculation. Now let's come to the uses of alpha blockers. In general, where can we use these drugs? Number one, hypertension, okay. So these drugs can be used in mild to moderate hypertension. However, these drugs are not used as monotherapy, okay. These drugs are actually used in resistant hypertension. These are somewhat reserved type of drugs, okay, although these are not called reserved drugs, but these drugs are used mainly in resistant hypertension when you have tried other antihypertensive drugs, okay, like the diuretics or ACE inhibitors or ARBs or calcium channel blockers or beta blockers, but you have failed to control the blood pressure. Then you can use these alpha blockers as a second line or a third line option along with the first line drugs, okay. And there is an added benefit of the alpha blockers in hypertensive patients, that is may cause modest improvement of lipid profiles, okay, and glucose metabolism in hypertensive patients, okay. But the mechanism is not well understood. The mechanism is still unclear, that how does it cause improvement of lipid profiles and glucose metabolism. As I have said, it can be used in benign prostatic hyperplasia, pheochromocytoma, but in case of pheochromocytoma, we use a special drug, that is phenoxybenzamine, not all the drugs. Okay. And in case of pheochromocytoma, there is an there is another important point, that in pheochromocytoma patients, you will find vanillyl mandelic acid in the urine of pheochromocytoma patients, because vanillyl mandelic acid is the end metabolic product of catecholamines. So as the pheochromocytoma is a tumor of catecholamines, okay, catecholamine secreting tumor, there are excessive catecholamines, and excessive catecholamine metabolism will be there. So the end product of metabolism, which is vanillyl mandelic acid, will be present in the urine of pheochromocytoma patient. Sometimes the examiners may ask you this question. So these drugs can be used in peripheral vascular disease like Raynaud's disease, but not in Buerger's disease. Okay, so in case of peripheral vascular disease like Raynaud's disease, these drugs can give you some symptomatic relief because there is vasospasm. So if you give alpha 1 blockers, then that can lead to decreased vasospasm. Okay, so that can lead to some symptomatic relief, but these drugs are not preferred in case of treatment of Raynaud's disease, because calcium channel blockers are the better choice. These drugs can be used in congestive heart failure. Okay, the vasodilator action of prazosin can afford symptomatic relief in selected patients of congestive heart failure in short term. Okay, so these drugs can these alpha 1 blockers can lead to vasodilation in both in arteries and in veins, both in arteries and in veins. So they can reduce both the preload and the afterload. For that reason, these drugs can be used in case of heart failure, but these drugs are not first choice drugs. There are some other very good drugs available for the treatment of congestive heart failure. Okay, and these drugs, if you use long term, they have not proved to be very good on these patients. That means they cannot reduce the mortality rate. They have not shown to be prolong the life of the heart failure patient. If you use other drugs like ACE inhibitors or ARBs, those drugs have been proven to prolong life in case of congestive heart failure patient. But these drugs, these alpha blockers, although they provide some symptomatic relief, but they do not improve the life expectancy of chronic congestive heart failure patients. And another function is erectile dysfunction. You can use these drugs in case of erectile dysfunction. Like there was a popular treatment procedure which is injection of papaverine and phentolamine. Phentolamine is the alpha 1 blocker, and some cases it can also block alpha 2. So phentolamine and papaverine, these drugs were directly injected into the corpus cavernosum of the penis, and it has been used in erectile dysfunction. But nowadays this treatment has become almost obsolete. This treatment is not used nowadays because this is largely replaced by sildenafil, or popularly known as Viagra. So hope you have enjoyed this class, and class dismissed.